It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sport. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does, and welcome to this Tuesday edition of the show. Got a lot to do over the next 60 minutes, as we do every day. Getting you caught up on everything going on around the sports world. With me and this man, Sammy Arnell, who hangs out with us on the show most days. David Aardsma will join us coming up in about 20 minutes for a American League MLB preview. We'll get to some thoughts with him on, maybe some division winners, some wild card picks. Sam will have best bets coming up later in the show for the American League as we look at the 2025 season. If you want to lock your money up in something, Sam will be here to help you do that. And God, stop making that motion. God,
what, you don't like Johnny Manziel?
Oh my
what?
God.
Come on,
Jesus.
We are a pro Johnny Manziel.
By the way, did you see that Baker Mayfield? I should talk about this in the next segment. I'm just going askew here, but did you see Baker Mayfield and Tua were like hanging out on a boat somewhere? Did you see the video of this? Yeah, like supposedly they're they're like bosom buddies now, supposedly.
Huh.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You'll have to look it up when you get a chance.
Well, it makes sense. Both
There
Florida quarterbacks, both played in the SEC.
What else? Come on, you got any other? I thought you were going to give me something witty, like, both will make the playoffs but never win anything. Something like that.
No, but that is true.
Okay.
Tua might not make the playoffs.
All right. Let's start things out in college basketball and in the women's game. And I think everybody's heart just sank on Monday night watching JuJu Watkins go down with this season-ending ACL injury. And, I mean, you knew it right away. You could see the second she went down that it was obviously bad news for her. And her season comes to an end. And with it, you have to wonder if the title hopes for USC come to an end. As her sophomore season ends with this devastating ACL injury, and there's a lot of branches that sort of go off this story that I want to get into. First, from the women's basketball perspective, we've seen plenty of collegiate players suffer these kinds of injuries and still bounce back and have amazing careers, and I have no doubt that at 19 years old, JuJu Watkins is going to be fine. In the long term. I think Paige Beckers had this same thing, either the Achilles or the ACL.
Yep,
yeah,
she did.
Yeah. So and we've seen her bounce back and have a great career. And obviously she will in the WNBA as well. But there's from a women's basketball perspective, right? Let's talk about it. You got to feel like if I think the odds makers have quickly caught up to this, that the UConn Huskies women's basketball program could be the biggest beneficiary, sadly, of this Watkins injury, because they were slated to play USC in the Elite Eight, which they still might. I mean, I don't think it'd be crazy to think that USC couldn't still get all the way to the Elite Eight even without JuJu Watkins. There's obviously a lot of talented players around her. But UConn now is plus 170 to win the entire women's basketball championship. South Carolina at plus 190, and then there's a drop-off to UCLA at plus 650, and we go from there. And I know the number is weird, Sam, at plus 170, but would you put that kind of money on UConn, on the women right now?
I just, before we get to that, the USC women are 27-1 now.
Yep.
To win this whole tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how good
JuJu
this
Watkins
one player was.
Yeah.
That's how special.
Good point.
And I've been trying to tell you this since her freshman year. Mm-hmm. JuJu Watkins is the real deal. Jason, you are exactly right. This is heartbreaking. Doesn't even seem to do it justice. Yeah. This was a USC team that could do it this year. This was their year. And against Mississippi State in the round of 32, heartbreaking stuff.
Yeah, it is.
For the USC women's basketball program.
Yeah.
To the deviation, my head, obviously, when this first happened, went straight to a conversation that you and I had,
10 days
maybe
ago?
a couple months ago at this point, feels like weeks ago, about Gino and does he need to win another? Well, here's your best shot.
Yep.
And what may very quickly become your last. Maybe next year too, especially if Juju's going to miss that whole year, because, the recovery timetable on those injuries is horrific. All that said, I'll split the unit between South Carolina and UCLA. I don't think that UConn has it this year. I simply don't. And if you're going to give me Dawn Staley and what she has done with that South Carolina program over the last, decade
pistol.
and a half.
Don't forget, Sam, UConn pistol whipped them during the regular season down there on the road. Okay,
so maybe this is the Bills fan in me coming out. I'll say that full front.
Yeah.
But motivation, hello?
Yeah.
They've seen what they're gonna do. They've seen what UConn has to do to win.
Yeah. Real quick, because there's one other thing I want to bring up about this JuJu Watkins injury, and we'll get to it in just a moment. After a word from our friends over at Edge Boost, taking sports betting to the next level. And that's why I am pumped to tell you about our friends at Edge Boost, the financial platform paying you cash back to wager. Edge Boost is an online bank account that pays you for every deposit. And with the Edge Boost Visa debit card, you're getting up to 0.5% cash back on all your sportsbook, daily fantasy site, and casino transactions. Free money back in your pocket just for doing what you're doing already. It's a no-brainer. Plus, your Edge Boost debit card starts with a $250,000 daily limit, and it'll never be declined for gambling activity. They've got built-in tools to help you stay responsible, and there's absolutely no hidden fees or minimum required balances. So stop leaving money on the table. Visit edgeboost.bet to learn more and sign up today with our friends. That's edgeboost.bet, or just scan the QR code below. Use my promo code WRAP, W-R-A-P, and get yourself an account upgrade. To just wrap this segment up, it goes back to what we were talking about too with the Cooper Flagg thing, with the ankle injury that he suffered during the ACC tournament. And it just got me thinking about this whole thing of, in the women's game, you can probably survive this sort of injury if you're JuJu Watkins and still wind up being the number one pick whenever she winds up in the draft a year or 2 years from now, whatever it winds up being. And in the men's game, if Cooper Flagg had suffered that injury, there's no way he goes number one in the NBA draft. No way. No chance. So, it's just one of those distinctions between still the women's and men's game and sort of how they differ. We're coming back. All right, coming up in 10 minutes, David Aardsma, former MLB reliever. He's our closer. Get some thoughts with him on the American League. We're doing the American League with him today, the National League with him tomorrow, all leading you up to opening day in Major League Baseball just a couple of days from now. Yankees Brewers, baby! Let's go! Can't wait. Pumped. Yes.
We'll talk about this tomorrow on the show with David, doing our National League preview.
Sure.
But I just keep going back to this, and I keep mentioning it to so many people and on every different show.
Yeah.
I think it is so funny that the best maybe matchup overall, but definitely pitching matchup on opening day of 2025 comes between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Miami Marlins. That just gets me fired up, man. Two smaller teams, two not huge market teams. That's what baseball is about.
Okay. That's all I got for you. Sure. It's the Pirates and the Marlins.
Everyone's going to be tuned in.
No, they won't. Nobody's going to be tuned into the Marlins and the Pirates on opening day.
You don't want to watch Steens versus Sandy Alcantara in Sandy's comeback start.
Timeout. To watch them go 5 innings each because it's opening day and nobody's built up? No.
I'll watch those first 5 innings then.
Bet the first 5.
Sure.
Yeah. Let me know how you do. Speaking of that, best bets from Sam coming up as well.
Gosh, the total in the first American 5 might be a half.
That will be interesting to see. I didn't see what kind of spring Alcantara had.
Good.
Did he? All right.
That's all you need to know.
All right. All I need to know is when he's a Yankee. Call me when he's a Yankee. Other than that, I don't care. Because it's the Marlins. Our buddy Vlad could go and watch them. Plenty of good seats available. Matter of fact, I think Vlad is going to that game with Alcantara and Skeens. So there you go. Plenty of good seats available.
Our guy Vlad, known ball knower.
Yeah.
Our guy Vlad.
Yeah, there you go. Can you tell me, is it just me? And am I overreading this, or does it just feel like there's this very strange vibe around this NFL draft? Like, unlike any year I could recall, where just nobody, it doesn't feel like people are excited. It doesn't feel like there's buzz. I cannot get my head around it or get a feel for it. And I know what the odds makers are saying, top overall pick right now. Cam Ward is the guy that is the really the prohibitive favorite at minus 750, followed by Abdul Carter at plus 500, so 5-1. Travis Hunter at 30-1, and then Shedeur Sanders at 40-1. I can't fully grasp why this draft feels this way. Maybe it's because we're so used to quarterbacks being so highly touted going into drafts, and when you don't have a great draft class in the quarterback realm, maybe we all just kind of look at each other and go, all right, well, what else is there?
So a couple of things. I think that this draft is, as I've talked about on the show, seemingly since the beginning of college football season, this draft is good in everything except quarterback, right? That is something we very rarely see in the NFL draft. This is a draft where you have generational talents at other positions, potentially more than one at multiple different positions. The offensive line available in this draft is out of this world. Yeah. The defensive line is even crazier. It's, in my mind, comparable to 2013. I think that's the last time we really saw something like this. 2013, the year Eric Fisher goes first overall to Kansas City, the year Lane Johnson gets drafted fourth overall by the Eagles, that Justin Pugh gets drafted by your New York Giants. EJ Manuel is the first quarterback taken in that draft at 16 overall by my Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
I think that this draft is very comparable to that draft talent-wise. There are definitely some guys who are going to play a long time who will be drafted in this first round. That said, there's a massive lack of talent at the position where we all go when we think about the NFL draft in quarterback, right? Cam Ward wasn't really even in the conversation for the Heisman. Shedeur Sanders tanked his draft stock all season long on and off the field. There are people talking about what is the new quarterback that everybody's hot on? I cannot believe that I'm not going to remember.
Jackson.
No. Tyler Shuck. Tyler Shuck is a name that did you hear Tyler Shuck's name once during college football season? Not. That's where we're at. And people are talking about him going in the first round. That's where we're at with this NFL draft, Jason. It's so deep at other positions that it's throwing people off in massive ways.
We'll mention Shedeur Sanders. We'll get to him in just a moment after a word from our friends over at Credit Associates. Are you $10,000 or more in credit card debt in over your head, trying to make monthly payments? Well, there's a powerful debt relief program the credit card companies don't want you to know about. Overcome the debt trap of multiple credit cards, high payments, and high interest rates that keep you in debt for decades, and you can do it with one affordable low monthly payment. Credit Associates Debt Relief Program can help you resolve your debt in as little as 24 to 36 months, and that'll save you thousands of dollars and decades in debt. Find out how much you could save right now. Call 1-800-747-5362. That's 1-800-747-5362, or just scan the QR code below. I wonder if it was a little bit of gamesmanship from Shedeur Sanders in the last minute here, Sam. With him and Travis Hunter scheduling their pro day after Cam Ward had his, to try and make sure, the last image, the last impression in the minds of scouts and GMs is Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter.
It was something I hadn't even thought about until you brought it up. I think it's a good point. Not even so much so for what they do on the field, more so for the meetings they have off the field. Because, everyone's going to tape everything that happens on the field. You can go back and watch that 100 times over and side by side. There's not going to be a ton of bias there. But if you meet Shedeur later than you meet Cam Ward, I do think that has something to it, Jason.
It's getting that last impression in. It is remarkable how much Shedeur Sanders' draft stock has fallen, though, from where we were, start of the college football season.
He was a foregone number one.
He was. Let's talk baseball. David Aardsma joins us next. And this Tuesday edition of SportsWrap continues. Good to have you all with us. We got a baseball preview to do today, and that means David Aardsma is here. It would have started 10 minutes ago in terms of recording the segment, but Sam had a game of like 50 questions with David Aardsma before we started the segment, so we might run out of time today. Like, really?
Fun questions.
Jason,
the questions no one else asked.
God.
Jason, there are only so many times in this young ball knower's life that he gets to regularly converse with somebody who lived out his dream for multiple years, the better part of a decade. I'm going to ask every question I want, especially when it comes to the little intricacies of the show.
You mean the show, not this show.
Right, the show.
Yeah,
the
that's
show,
what I
the
meant.
real show, the one that matters.
All that really matters. Yeah, of course. All right, let's talk some American League. We're gonna do American League today, National League tomorrow, with former MLB reliever David Aardsma here on the show, Sirius XM Radio, MLB Radio as well, joining us here on the program. So, I mean, look, we've talked throughout this entire offseason and now in spring training about the Yankees and the loss of Juan Soto, the other additions they've made, the Paul Goldschmidts, blah, 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 blah. All the stuff they've done. And then they suffer all these pitching injuries. So let's start in the AL East. And I talked to you about it over the last couple of weeks. I feel like this AL East, I mean, I don't care what the odds makers say. And I haven't looked in the last, 24 to 48 hours to see if the odds have narrowed at all.
It's still the same.
Yeah, I don't see it being the Yankees, as this runaway in the AL East, David.
I don't see him as runaway, and that's obviously because of those injuries. And anytime you're taking away the reigning, AL Rookie of the Year and a huge part of that staff and heel, and then a Cy Young winner and Garrett Cole, and then you're talking about a guy who had that kind of comeback, season and especially playoffs and Stanton. I mean, that's tough. Not to mention probably one of the perennial MVP candidates in Soto. That's a lot to weather. At the same time, they did put a lot of good pieces together, and that's the thing about it. I think overall, when you're going man for man on roster wise in the East, they're the most complete team, even with those injuries, because outside of those couple injuries on the pitching staff, if I'm the Red Sox, if I'm the Blue Jays, Orioles, maybe not the Orioles, I'm taking most of the rest of the guys on the staff and a lot of the guys on that roster. I want these players, and that's the thing is it's still a complete team, probably the most complete team, and the team that has the most experience in winning baseball games.
David, when we look around the rest of that division, the pitching injuries are plentiful. Obviously, McClanahan going down for the Rays, but what did we really expect out of Tampa this season? A team I wanted to talk about is the Orioles, who you just mentioned. It felt like last season they were a piece, maybe two, away from making a real deep run into the postseason, and then they let their best pitcher walk out the door, and now Zach Eflin is their opening day starter. How do you feel about the team in Baltimore, and have they just kind of fallen off as quickly as they came on?
So I still love the team. I mean, again, I like the team a lot. Let me put it that way. You are getting one of your biggest pieces back in the bullpen and Bautista, and that's we forget how good he was 2 years ago. Charlie Morton is a big sign for them. The Sugano, if I say it correctly, let's not forget this guy won the MVP as a pitcher multiple times in Japan. He won the Cy Young Award basically 3 times. And so he's no joke. You might be 35 or whatever it is. Everyone's kind of skipped over him. He is by no means a joke. And then
can he be like a Tanaka? Can he be like a Tanaka was to the Yankees for them?
I think so. I think that's exactly what it's going to be. He's going to be a little bit more craftier than what we're expecting out of Sasaki and what we've been seeing lately from Japan. He's going to be a little bit more crafty at 94. So that's crafty nowadays. The one thing they did do, they didn't get rid of any of their pieces on that offense. They kept it together, so that's a good thing. But they didn't find a veteran presence. I don't understand this. They didn't go out there and find a couple veterans to go along with those young players. So one thing we've seen historically, when you have like 9 guys in the lineup that are all pretty young, that have all been together, you have to bring in some older pieces, some guys that know how to win, know how to weather the storm, know how to play 162 and keep winning into October. And they didn't do that. That's the one knock. I didn't need superstars coming in. I needed those veteran guys that just win baseball games when it matters coming in.
Fair enough. Are the Blue Jays, are they basically, are we talking about a team that are sellers at the deadline? Is there a scenario in which you could see them being competitive enough that they hang on to the pieces here?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And the problem is you look at this team and you go man for man, they line up really well with a lot of other teams. It's just they haven't produced. They haven't gone out there and just won the baseball games. But like you're talking about Bo, Vlad, and Santander, like Andres Jimenez, he might be the best second baseman in all of baseball. And so Kirk, Springer. I mean, you start going down the line, you're like, dude, like these are some guys, they just haven't all done it together. And then the rotations were still not bad. You got Cosman, Barrios, Bassett, Francis, Scherzer, like that lines up with almost anybody. It's just, can they stay healthy and can they produce together? I actually have them like borderline making the playoffs. It just depends on what the Mariners do.
By the way, Yankees, Orioles, play each other 7 times the final 10 games of the Major League Baseball regular season. So we could have a baseball season that's completely meaningless until the final week and a half, basically. Go ahead, Sam.
By the way, Vladdy in a contract year, he might hit 40 home runs. That is going to be very interesting to see, especially if they're bad by chance. Do they move him at the deadline? David, we've only got like a minute left in this segment, and we'll obviously get to this division more on the other side, but I wanted to touch on the AL West really quick and get your thoughts on the Texas Rangers heading into this season. It felt like last year obviously was kind of a one-off after a World Series championship, maybe the hangover that everyone talks about, but what are your expectations from Texas going into this season?
Division champions going deep in the playoffs. In the playoffs. Oh, without a doubt. It's full hangover mode. They forgot how to win baseball games. Again, it wasn't like they were the most dominant team in 23 when they went and did the run anyways, but they're a great baseball team and who's getting healthier and they didn't go out there. They added to it. Berger is a big sign. Jock Peterson is a great guy in that ballpark in that division. I love the Rangers. I am heavy on the Rangers.
All right. And Sam just said, you know what? The AL Central's hot garbage, so we're just going to skip over it and go right to the West. It's flyover country is basically what he said.
My MVP in the American League plays in the Central.
All right. We're coming back. We do have some AL Central to get to and some questions about the AL West. Don't go anywhere. Good to have you with us on SportsWrap. Tomorrow, Josh Berry on the show, NASCAR winner in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. Left-hand turns, man. Left-hand turns.
That's all that matters.
Yep.
Don't go right. There's one course you can go right, but
left-hand turns. Yeah. I don't know what the hell that was. It looked like the Donald Trump dance from Sam there. I'm not sure what that. Wow. Okay. All right. Just checking. So Sam ignored the AL Central, so we'll get back to that in just a second. AL West, what is Seattle doing? Much like and look, it's one thing for Toronto, who just couldn't get the free agents they wanted. Yeah, they got Santander. They couldn't get the free agent. They tried, and they made the effort to get guys. What is Seattle doing? Because it just felt like an offseason. Them and the Pirates Pirate fans were like, what are we doing? And Mariner fans are very much asking that same question about their team. What are we doing?
It's got to be frustrating. It's got to be really frustrating. When you have one of the best pitching staffs in the history of baseball. And it might be ballpark factors. There might be a lot to go with that. At the same time, on the road, they win. And at home, they win. And with no offense, and just continuously no offense when I was there, no offense ever. And it's got to be frustrating because, again, they didn't even go after the guys. You never saw their name connected with any big name free agents. That's got to be the most frustrating thing as a fan. I mean, Rowdy Tellez is going to make the team. I mean, I like Rowdy, but he's a great guy off the bench, good guy in the clubhouse, but he's gonna be starting in your 9.
Wasn't he the guy that got released by the Pirates last year, right before he was going to make his bonus, right? Yeah.
The zero offense Pirates got rid of Rowdy Tellez with zero offense, and the Mariners like, that's our guy. And that's the thing about it. They got some superstars. They got some Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez. Like, these are dudes. You know what the biggest thing is they did make some big trades last year. Trying Rosarena. They still have guys that didn't perform. So if these guys do perform, a couple of these guys, Robles, if these guys step up and actually perform what they should perform, some of the younger guys too, J.B. Crawford needs to step up. Like, they do still have a lot of pieces, and they can surprise a lot of people.
So I just got to get in here real quick on the Mariners, because to me, David, and I want your thoughts on this, it seems, hello to our friends in Seattle, it seems like there's some amount of organizational failure here. And I think an under the radar move that kind of epitomizes that from just these last couple of days was the release of Mitch Haniger, right? Here's a contract that another team gave a guy that you trade for to take on and take a gamble on this guy. And a year later, here you are cutting ties with him, costing yourself upwards of $20 million. I think that the Mariners are very good at making the decision that benefits them much more short-term than long-term, and we're kind of seeing the repercussions of this with an incredibly analytically dominant starting staff and a lineup behind them that just seemingly is never able to produce. Elsewhere, David, we got to talk about the A's real quick, because I think that they are just one of the most undercovered teams going into this season, playing in that minor league park, a lot of young talent. What are you looking at coming out of Sacramento with the Athletics this season?
Yeah, I'm about to say the Oakland Athletics of Sac Vegas, whatever that ends up being. I think they're going to be one of the most improved teams of all baseball outside the White Sox, because of just historically bad, has to at least even out a little bit. I think them and the Rangers are going to be the two biggest change teams that you've seen in baseball. And the thing they're doing, which they finally figured out, is sign these guys to long-term deals when they're like nothing and rookies and like just getting started. And they're going to keep them. How about that? They're going to keep these guys for a while, or at least make their contracts so amazingly valuable to trade. I do love the team. I think they're really good. There's some analysts out there that actually have them as playoff teams, and a couple people out there on MLB Network Radio had two different people pick them in the playoffs. I have them as the biggest turnaround team with the Rangers. And I love this team. I love how it's put together. They're young. They're feisty. They're Oakland born and bred. A lot of these players are, or at least been in the organization so long that they feel like they're born and bred in Oakland. And I do like it. I think it's going to team that's going to surprise a whole lot of people. At the very least, they might not win a whole lot of games. I have them as 81 wins. But they are going to put every single time you go into Sacramento, every single time you see them on the road, they're going to be fighting in big baseball games and playing with the best teams in baseball and beating the bad teams.
By the way, the A's are 71.5 for their win total on FanDuel.
Yeah, so I got 10 more wins.
So run to the over is what David Aardsma is saying.
That me and a lot of other people are saying it.
Don't lump in other people. The only person on this show is you. You own it. Own it.
I'll own the heck out of this.
All right, AL Central, real quick before we go, the division that apparently Sam thinks is rather unimportant. But it's funny. The Twins, Tigers, and Guardians all basically have the same odds to win the division, and the Royals are right behind them.
Yes, Royals, to me, it's the Royals team. It's the Royals division. Royals have the best team in that division by far. Twins were built a couple years ago for the playoffs. and they just haven't really quite performed. And again, all four of those teams, like they're all right there, but they're all like squeaking into the playoffs, right? Like they all kind of got in last year, and a lot of it was on the back of the White Sox. If the White Sox win 20 more games, none of these teams make the playoffs except for one to win it, right? And that's the problem with this division to me, is if you take away those wins, which we're going to have to take away a little bit this year, it really evens out, and it ends up being a division of, well, Tariq Skubal basically with the Tigers, and then you get a couple, the Royals are good, and then you got these other teams that you're just like, you're not going to win many baseball games against teams that matter.
So you got so real quick, AL East winner,
Yankees,
AL Central winner,
Royals,
and the Rangers to win the West. And your wild card teams?
My wild card teams are the Red Sox, Astros, Mariners, in that order, with the Blue Jays and Mariners like right there.
All right.
I mean, it could be Blue Jays and Mariners might play one more game to finish the season.
David Aardsma, he'll be back here tomorrow to talk about the National League. We'll see you then.
Absolutely.
Coming up in 10 minutes, we'll wrap it up with some odds and ends. Doing a lot of baseball on the show today and tomorrow. Kurt Heelan will be here tomorrow. Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Vlad will be here for that. We will also have Josh Berry on the show Thursday. I think I said Wednesday, and I want to correct that. Josh Berry, NASCAR winner. He won the Pennzoil 400 here in Las Vegas. Josh Berry will be on the show on Thursday with myself and Tino Patino. We are jammed this week. There is so much going on. With baseball opening day. Wait until you see the shirt that I have to wear for opening day. Should I show the hat? Did I show the hat? Got picked up this hat. Oh, yeah. There it is. The Vin Scully hat that the folks at Baseballism have. Picked that up. Yeah. It's baseball season, baby. Let's do it. And that means Sam Yarnell is back with us after we talked with David Aardsma about a whole bunch of baseball. So, Sam, it is baseball's American League best bets that I want to talk to you about. And we'll get into some overs and unders that I'm always passionate about. We kind of teased one in the conversation with David, and that's the A's at 71.5, which and you can get them to win the division, by the way, at 26-1.
Don't mess around with that. Stop it.
26-1 though?
No. But you want a better bet on the A's?
Yeah.
You can go over to our friends at FanDuel. They have alternative wins markets, 80+ wins for the A's. They could win 80 games. It's plus 350. I mean, come on, plus 350 for a team to go 500.
For a team that hasn't gone 500 in a long time, though, it's
Playing
a big
in a
leap.
AAA ballpark.
Yeah, that can. I don't know, man. That could cut both ways. I'll take them over 71.5. I'm not crazy about much over that. Like I said, the flyer bet on them to win the division would be fun to watch, because that AL West is what's the AL West going to be? 87 wins the division. 89 wins the division. I know. No. Look, I know David's high on the Rangers. I'm not as high on the Rangers as he is. I think
the
that
Rangers
division
are coming,
is.
man.
Yeah, I don't
The
know.
Rangers, I am piggybacking off of David Aardsma in how high I am on the Rangers, because I think that, first of all, they're getting a healthy Jacob deGrom to start, which is great. The misconception with the Rangers is this: a lot of people are high on the Rangers because Jacob deGrom is healthy. Finally, right? For what?
No, 5 minutes?
Right. Jacob deGrom will make maybe 10 starts. Great. I'm more high on the Rangers because of what they have lined up behind Jacob deGrom. Yeah. They've now built their farm system to a point where they've got Jack Leiter, they've got Kumar Rocker, they've got two guys who are proven and ready to step up and take that spot. I ultimately think Kumar Rocker comes out of the bullpen, Jason, but that's nitpicking. I really do think that the Texas Rangers are a formidable team this year and are not being given enough credit.
I think they're good, but I still got to see it. And like I said, it's just that division, the vibe around that division. I don't think anybody in the American League will win over 95 games this year. I don't think there'll be a team that wins more than 9. I'll take that bet. I don't think there's a single team. I don't think there's a single team in the American League that wins more than 95 games this year. Not a single team. What's the Rangers win total right now?
The Texas Rangers win total.
Rangers win total is 86.5. It's only 86.5, Sam. So Vegas is telling, and again, Vegas is like me. They take all the emotion out of it. We're dead inside. You know, Vegas takes all the emotion out of it. And they're setting that number at 86.5, Sam. So everybody's going gaga about the Rangers. Either Vegas got it horribly wrong, which happens. What?
Okay. All right. Do some math with me here.
Uh-oh.
Rangers win total, 86.5 minus 122 to the over.
Mm-hmm.
Astros win total, 86.5 minus 104 to the over. However, if you go over to the division odds, Astros plus 170, Rangers plus 190 to win that division. Something doesn't add up there.
Yeah.
I might have to play the Rangers to win the AL West now.
At plus 190, it's not even a lot of value there.
I mean,
to lock your money in, to lock your money in for the whole year.
6 of 10 in May, and I can get them at 2.5 to 1.
Even the Mariners at plus 200 doesn't feel like a right number. It feels like the Mariners should be like plus 350, plus 400.
Agree. Agree very strongly.
All right, real quick.
Now let me get to my picks that I already have.
Yeah, we got a minute left.
You're managing the time poorly once again. Rex Ryan clock management.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, here's what I'm playing in the American League. We'll get to my National League futures tomorrow. First of all, Cam Smith, the Houston Astros rookie, to win AL Rookie of the Year. I'm saying this because it is a market I am partially responsible for, so I want to toot my own horn a little bit.
Right.
I asked FanDuel to put it up here in New Jersey. They did. It was 75 to 1. I bet it. It's down to 13 to 1. Get your Cam Smith AL Rookie of the Year tickets. The kid looked awesome in spring training, and he's going to do great things in that lineup. I'm playing Jose Ramirez to win AL MVP at 22 to 1. Woo! I think that he stands out for that team in an AL Central that the Guardians can still win. Jose Ramirez is your AL MVP. Give me the Baltimore Orioles to miss the playoffs. I played it at plus 156. It's down to plus 116. I don't think the O's get in this year. And let's get a little spicy with the ending. White Sox under 11.5 wins by the end of April at minus 125. That's what I'm playing in the American League, Jason.
I think the AL East gets 2 playoff teams, Sam. 3 playoff teams. Yankees, Red Sox, and Orioles. We're coming back. Welcome back, getting set to put the wraps on this Tuesday edition of the show. A reminder, if you have not done so yet, make sure to check out the SportsWrap with Jason Page podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. And it's there every day unless I forget to hit the publish button like I did on yesterday's show, and I hit it on Tuesday morning, which is entirely possible. It happens from time to time. So go and check out the podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. I forgot Amazon. Who could forget Amazon? We love you, Jeff Bezos. So go and check all that stuff out on the podcast. You can also watch the show over on Spotify every day, and most days on YouTube when they decide not to put a copyright block on the show, even though we are a news and informational show sometimes, they do that to us. So, Sam Yarnell, without any further delay, time for some odds and ends presented by our friends over at Edge Boost. Love talking about Edge Boost because they are all about upping the game when it comes to your sports betting, daily fantasy, casino transactions, you name it. They are the financial platform at Edge Boost, paying you cash back to wager. Edge Boost is an online bank account paying you for every deposit. And with the Edge Boost Visa debit card, you're getting up to 0.5% cash back on all your sportsbook, daily fantasy site, and casino transactions. free money back in your pocket just for doing what you're doing already. It's a no-brainer. Plus, your Edge Boost debit card starts with a $250,000 daily limit, and it'll never be declined for gambling activity. What's better than that? They got built-in tools to help you stay responsible, and there's absolutely no hidden fees or minimum required balances. Stop leaving money on the table. Visit edgeboost.bet to learn more and sign up today with our friends from edgeboost.bet, or just scan the QR code, and where it says promo code, use mine, WRAP. That's RAP, WRAP, in the promo code section and get a free upgrade to your account. Sam Yarnell, Jason Tatum spraining his ankle for the Celtics last night. Apparently, it's not a good time to be ankles. Jalen Brunson was dealing with one of his own, and now Jason Tatum dealing with one as well. Celtics, by the way, beat the Kings last night, 113-95. But Tatum out with a left ankle sprain as the Celtics just sort of, muddle through the season. They're going to be the 2 seed in the East. A lot of people think it's sort of a fait accompli that will get them and the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not necessarily convinced of that, but they're certainly going to have to baby Jason Tatum here down the stretch.
Yeah, didn't this happen to the Celtics? Every single time we talk about this basketball team, all I think of is, man, didn't that happen last year? And then look what happened. Didn't they miss
Porzingis?
Jaylen Brown?
Porzingis was hurt.
Porzingis, right. For 2 weeks leading up to the playoffs, or a month leading up to the playoffs. This is that. Massively frustrating, the parody of one team to its own self the next season. Regardless, feels like deja vu all over again.
The Celtics, by the way, still the favorites to come out of the East. To come out of the East at -145, with the Cavaliers at +175, and then there's the Knicks at 10-1.
Ugh,
feeling value-y. No.
Are we really going to do this runaround again?
Give me the Knicks at 10-1.
2 years in a row now?
Give me the Knicks at 10-1. I'm right there.
Oh, my goodness.
You got to do it at some point. Give me the Knicks at 10-1.
No, you don't. You got to do it at some point, after you fire Tom Thibodeau.
That'll never happen. They'll never fire Tom Thibodeau.
Right. It'll be right when James Dolan sells the team. That's never going to happen either.
Which will never happen either. Exactly. Odds and ends. Game of the NCAA tournament is on the women's side, and it was between Maryland and Alabama last night. So Maryland's had a couple of exhilarating wins. Obviously, the Derek Queen game winner, which we talked about on yesterday's show. And then on the women's side in the NCAA tournament last night, Maryland getting a really good win in double overtime against Alabama. Best game of the NCAA tournament so far. It was on the women's side. What was it? 108-101, I think, was the final.
It's funny to me that Maryland has, on both sides, the men's and the women's, played in the best game of the tournament, right? The Derek Queen buzzer beater against Colorado State. And then this was a marathon, Jason. I was watching it live, and it was a fun game to watch. I think we should, as much as, the storylines, especially over the past 2 years, have picked up a ton out of the women's tournament, I think that we should look for a little bit of a shift with these last two men's tournaments compared to these last two women's tournaments. I think there will be a little bit more casual viewership of the women's tournament going forward.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. How about on the women's side of tennis? Tennis, anybody? Coco Gauff is out in Miami at her hometown tournament. She falls in straight sets on Monday. And look, a disappointing season continues for Coco Gauff, who continues to struggle right now, losing to Magda Linette, 6-4, 6-4.
Woo!
Yep, exactly. Unseeded Magda Linette, by the way. We're out of time. Thanks to David Aardsma, you for watching. See y'all back here on Wednesday.